Hello, everyone. We are live. This is our what is it called again? Chinese Nebelhorn
Not officially, but that's what we
live
call it.
stream. No, I always forget the other name. We are waiting for people to join.
Road to Milano.
Skate
I
to
think-
Milano, I think.
Oh no,
didn't
you're
do-
right. The road was the
Road to Milan was the
test event.
was the test event. It's everything's stupid.
Well, okay, that's really confusing because the road to Milano was happening in Milano. So
And the skate to Milano is happening in China. I loved the jokes that Gubernova from Georgia was like pretending she was at Europeans because there's Milano in the name of the event.
Yeah, exactly.
So while we
That
are
rink
waiting,
in Beijing gives me flashbacks, and I was not. I kept fixating on these boards are different. This is not the Olympics. To avoid feeling like I was back in 2022. Yeah, exactly.
people are joining. Hello, Laura. Though Lorraine, is it a new person who's hello? Oh, so many people. Hi.
Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
We're here to talk about the results of Chinese Nebelhorn.
Yes.
Some of them we'll like and some of them we won't like.
I was about to say, like, what is your general impression? Without giving anything away, how do you feel?
That depends on the discipline. Happy for some and not so happy for others.
I think there was someone I was really happy for and someone I was really disappointed for, probably in each of the disciplines. And I was surprised, though, at how emotional a few people were making me, and maybe because I was watching it at like 4 a.m, so I was in a weakened state. But there were a few bursting into tears, and honestly, even worse, a few like dead stares as the dreams die like faces that were really hitting me.
Also, the camera work in the kiss and cry was like they were really zoomed in on everyone's faces right as you came out of the replays, and it was like, do we need to be this close looking at the dreams die as in their faces? Like, please stop.
I also, with that, have to comment on when you said camera work made me think about the plea that I have to all future event producers to please don't use the overhead cameras, because it would happen every time that I would be about to say, oh, I want to see what that element looks like, or oh, I'm kind of curious what this, like, especially in dance, they kept switching to these overhead cameras, and I like the idea of people being creative with their filming, but it's like it wasn't choreographed to be seen from that angle.
The only time that they had a reason to use it, they didn't use it, and that was with Zhang Huang, the pairs team, because they do choreography. They go to separate sides of the rink, which I always love that they do that, but it doesn't show up on camera because the camera has to focus on one person. They literally had a reason to use it for that, where you could have seen them go to either side of the rink and see what they do, and they didn't use it.
No.
Do we want to get started? I think quite a few people have joined. Hello, everyone.
The first one is pairs, I think, so that leads in quite nicely. So the pairs quotas that were gained by teams at this competition was a spot for China, a spot for Armenia, and a second spot for Japan. And the first alternate will be France, who may quite likely be taking that spot because we don't know what's going on with the Uzbekistan team right now.
Is this a category we are happy about?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. This category, I would say, all felt very deserved. Like, these were 3/4 strong teams that had pretty strong performances here, and that totally makes sense for them to have those spots. We talked about in the preview a few teams that I thought were kind of on the bubble, that I was sort of like, ooh, wouldn't it be interesting if they were able to make it? But in my mind, this is not a surprising podium. And in some ways, that's a good thing, because these are teams that on paper should be there.
Mm-hmm. Like personally, like I'm sad that the Ukrainian pair team of Holochenko, Darininsky didn't get a spot. I kind of already mentally wrote them off after what happened at Lombardia, but they were so much better here and 2 points away from 4th place, so they would have been very close to being that alternate team. They did themselves very proud. They did very well. I'm sad not to see them up there because they're a team I really enjoy, but it's not like they skated like particularly better than anyone else who got the spot above them.
Yeah, looking at these teams, there were times when I thought that I think that a few of the scores seemed a little high, but on the other hand, I think that it was nice to see some of the progress rewarded, and for these teams that have been kind of, like I said, on the bubble trying to get into these spots, get that reward. I was glad to see in particular. We've seen that the Japanese team, Yuna Nagaoka and Sumitaro Moriguchi, they have been improving so much. And while these weren't like perfect performances here, they were able to show a lot of how they have improved, and the ability for Japan to really have and qualify those 2 pair spots is a really big milestone for how the discipline has grown. So that was it's a highlight for me, for them personally, for this team in particular, and also feels really well deserved that there are 2 Japanese pair spots.
Yeah, it was like, I remember seeing the video of them backstage, like when they're like finding out that they're getting the spot, and they were so emotional. And I was like, because they obviously, I think Yuna in particular felt like she hadn't done enough, like to get that spot, and they probably thought they weren't going to get it, but like they were so happy when they found out and so emotional, and like even like Sumitada started like crying after a minute as well, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Moment 1 of 3 that I felt a lot of emotions alongside of seeing Kathy Reed's approach face was the thing that like set off my emotions, and she was so happy for them. She's been working with them, and it was really nice to see that. And I was also just thrilled for how much the Kovalevs from France have improved, that they feel like they're back to themselves here. And I really hope that they are able to use this sort of alternate spot that may turn into a real spot. But I was very happy to see them under this pressure be able to rise to the occasion. I know there were injuries all through last season, but it was also very stressful watching them, because when things fell apart, they really fell apart.
Yeah.
And this felt like, okay, right, this is a team. They might make a mistake here or there, but they're going to be, of a quality that we can start to rely on again.
They're in a good spot no matter what in terms of the alternate position, because they'll be going for the team event anyway. So they'll still be preparing for that, but they're going to know they're probably going to have a spot open up for them individually as well. I also really liked hearing the information that Pavel was part of the choreography of the programs, because you could see how much more comfortable he was. Like sometimes he looked a bit awkward in programs before, but he looked really into these programs, and it definitely like helps the way they come across on the ice if they feel comfortable with what they're working with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Miriam is saying, really cool to see how much improvement Kovalevs and Nagaoka and Moriguchi have both had in such a short time with new coaching teams.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. They've really risen to the occasion. So it's good to mention the other 2 teams who got spots here. For Zhang Huang, I don't think this was as strong as what they laid down at Asian Open Trophy, but it was still very strong. And obviously we have seen nothing of Sui and Han and their supposed comeback so far. So, I mean, I'm supporting Zhang Huang to be taking the Chinese spot at the Olympics because they've earned it. It always feels kind of wrong if somebody else comes into the equation and takes that spot that somebody else has earned.
And these are very respectable scores, like getting 66.68 in the short program. Like, you know, these are scores that could get them, you know, very comfortably, you know, into not medal contention, but top 10 contention at the Olympics. And we'll have to see how they develop, of course. But I think they're a really exciting team and really well deserved to have this spot.
And you have to invest in the future of the sport. You can't just keep rehashing the ones who've like brought you to success in the past, because the more you pass over the young ones, they then get fed up of waiting and retire and move on to something else, and then you just end up having no fields because, you know, then the older ones will retire again as well. You need to believe in the youth and let them grow. You don't have to be immediate medal contenders like as soon as you've come out of juniors.
So I think we have to talk about Su and Han in that context then. And the Lorraine O is asking of comeback teams who are we more likely to actually see this season, Su and Han or the ships?
I mean, technically the ships, because there is footage of them out there now apparently. Whether that's competitive footage or not is we'll find out. But we've seen nothing of Sui and Han at all, so I don't believe they're going to be around until they actually show up to a competition.
They're still on the Grand Prix list.
They are,
right? Okay.
Well,
so what's the first competition for them theoretically?
I don't think I'll find it.
Yeah,
it might be Cup of China. I would assume it's Cup of China because I think that's the second event.
So that's about a month away at this point. So
yeah, Cup of China is October the 24th to 26th, and they are one of two Chinese teams, with this other Chinese team, Zhang Huang, being the other team there. So yeah, and then their other event is 2 weeks later at NHK Trophy.
Fascinating. Oh my goodness. I did want to say we skipped over the second place team here, Akapova and Rachmanin from Armenia. And they're an interesting one because they remind me a little bit of how I felt about the Uzbek team last year, where they have really fantastic elements, and then the skills of their skating skills and their connections and their, you know, approach to music don't really live up to that. I would be really happy though to see more of this team and see how they kind of how they change or not change in more experience of international competition and international judging, and see if any of that sort of stylistic approach evolves. I was a big fan of their costumes, I have to say. That was a different look, and I enjoy sometimes pair costumes. Everybody starts to look very similar. They sort of styles come in and out of fashion, and so I'm always sort of happy when I see somebody's like, oh, you're trying something different. I felt the same way about the Kovalevs and the sort of Edith Piaf costume that Kami had. It's nice when we get to see people sort of, sometimes Paris feels very utilitarian. It's nice to see different approaches.
Yeah. Akapova Rachmanin were a team I liked when they represented Russia all those years ago. I think they were actually the last ever international competition for a Russian before the ban. They had to like somehow find their way back through countries to get back to Russia when all the borders were getting closed off. But they've been out of competition for a while. They always used to have like very interesting programs that stood out in the Russian field. They would have like very eclectic, interesting programs, and I think they're kind of carrying that on, but I think they've played it a little bit safer this year because they've been out of competition for so long. And obviously Karina's had a lot of injury struggles as well, which obviously influenced them to make the change. So yeah, I'm happy to see them back. And obviously, like, I know there's questions about when Russian skaters or teams switch to other countries, and if they're just like country hopping or whatever. Akapova does have Armenian parents, and she is Armenian heritage. She's not just like, they're not just picking a country on a map and saying, I'm going to skate for that one. They do have a reason to skate for Armenia. And it's good to see, small federations on the world stage.
I think Sarah wants us to talk about this. She started for me just now. I wonder if Japanese Skating Federation will send out Lucas and Ayumi to an international event in case one of their pairs teams, God forbid, have to withdraw.
Possibly. They are obviously incredibly new, so I don't know how likely it would be that they would get minimums anyway. And the Japanese Federation don't love to send out their skaters for international competitions. So we'll see if they do. If they do, it's probably going to be maybe golden spin or just something random.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't expect to see them soon.
I wouldn't expect it. Yeah, I wouldn't expect it.
Is there any more opinions about the other teams who didn't make it?
I guess we can talk about the choice that US Figure Skating made to send Audrey and Balash to this competition. Nothing against them. I just don't think they should have been chosen for this. I don't think they have enough experience as a team. I don't think Audrey has enough experience as a pair skater. And that they've just not been consistent enough for me to think that this was the best choice. I know they supposedly won the Champs Camp skate-off. I don't know why US Figure Skating would make that the determination of picking the spot instead of John Nix, which was an internationally judged competition later in the season, 3 weeks later or whatever it was, and only 2 or 3 weeks before this competition. I just don't understand why that choice would be made.
Who would you have picked over them?
Either McBeef, Parkman, or Chan Hao. I think either of those options were better. I think McBeef, Parkman are pretty solid technically. They're not technically the most consistent. They're not the best PCS team at this point, but they are fairly high scoring potential, and they did well at the Road to Milan event last year. And Chan Hao seem to be doing pretty well with their consistency issues this year, and they have a higher PCS scoring potential by far. And they both beat them at John Nix. So I think either of those options were better.
Yeah, I saw Miriam's comment in the chat, which is that thinking that it's really damaging long-term for USFS to send them here. It's going to affect their confidence and maybe derail them. I hope not, though. And I was thinking somewhat the same thing. It's really tough to be put into this position. I actually think, despite how critical we're being of them, they weren't really that bad here. They had a big error with a death spiral, the kind of fluke error that people, are gonna be kicking themselves over. I don't think of that as a sign of poor development or anything, but possibly just a sign of their newness as a team, that, if something is a little off, they're not as comfortable yet in making the adjustments that they would need to do to fix it before it got to the point where you lose the whole pivot and death spiral. But overall, I still think that this team has a lot of potential. I saw one theory that was, again, someone's Twitter theory, that
the one that Sarah just posted. Maybe I don't know if you can see it. No, it's not. I'm going to read out what Sarah posted. Oh, yes. I saw some people say that US Figure Skating might have sent them out to earn their own spot because of the citizenship question marks. Was that your theory as well?
That was my theory as well. And if that was the theory, I think, the logic of that is basically, okay, well, you're going to have Cam and O'Shea are going to get a spot, and Chan and Hao are going to get a spot because with Efimova, Mitrofanov, they're not going to get citizenship. McBeath and Parkman not going to get citizenship, and so then the two top ranking teams would be the other two that would likely get the existing spots. And so under that logic, rather than sending a team out to qualify a spot that wouldn't get to go, you send out the team that would be kind of qualifying their own spot. I'm still not sure that has any, like, while those pieces add up, I'm still not sure it makes any sense in terms of like what actually would be a motivating factor for US figure skating. I think that the idea that they would do something that they didn't think was going to maximize the spots, again, seems unlikely to me.
Just like in terms of the stature of having 3 pair spots, like that you can brag that you would then have more spots than any other country in that discipline, like, and you get to
you'd
show
have 3 in every
talent.
discipline and be the only country to manage that also. So it's like, again, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to me from that perspective. Lois froze for a second, so I'm gonna just continue to say that under that logic, you also have Plazas and Fernandez, who, while not being consistent either, are on a decent path toward a comeback. And I think
also like, I love disappearing in the middle of making a point. As I was saying, Chelsea Lou and Ryan Ballard, who did really well on their debut at John Nicks, and also would be a team that have citizenship. So that, it kind of doesn't add up as a proper reason of why US figure skating would have done that.
So now I get to be stressed about which of these teams is going to get the second spot, or either of the 2 spots, and among all of the many talented and inconsistent US pair teams. This is going to be one of the, I think, messier contests with a lot of people going for it as we're following Olympic spots. I did, just before we move on from pairs, want to give a shout out here to the Czech team, Anna Valesi and Arn Bidar, because they got personal bests here. They're a new team, and I think they're on a really great trajectory. It was going to be a stretch for them to be able to qualify at this point, and I think they weren't even necessarily in the citizenship race at that point. But I continue to be impressed by them, and I think they're already showing a lot of quality in their skating for a team that's this new together. I really think we're getting to see they have a Claire de Lune program that I think shows off like the skating skills that they both have, and his very nice extension. And it's a program that I've been enjoying a lot more than I feel like a team that is like, you know, in this place in the rankings should have, you know, any right to make me be like, ooh, that's such a pretty program. I'm enjoying their skating skills. That's not often what we say about sort of mid-ranked pair teams, but I'm excited about their potential.
Yeah, agreed.
And if there are no more thoughts, let's move on to the next category.
I have one more thought on pairs, which is just to say the odd AI generated music of the North Korean team.
That's so weird.
Was very weird. That's it.
That's the second time that's happened with a North Korean skater this season as well, because there was a man, I think it was at Asian Open Trophy, who had like a ripoff of Hope and Legacy, like a Yuzuru tribute, and then this one was a ripoff of Rain in Your Black Eyes, and it's like you get like a third of the way through, and then you're like, wait, is that what's happening right now? What's going on?
Let's not make that a thing. Let's not continue.
Let's keep that one for North Korea.
Yeah. So like, but also we should put a link in the description if it's possible, because I'm sure people are curious now who didn't see it.
Very, very odd.
And now move on to the next talking point, which is women's quota.
Yes. So Dalia Petrosayan, obviously originally from Russia, now as a neutral athlete, gets a spot for herself, not for the country. Only she can take that spot at the Olympics. And there's a spot for Georgia. The second quota for Belgium, then Victoria Safonova from Belarus, also earned an individual neutral athlete quota that only she can take. And then China got the last spot, and then first alternate would be Cyprus.
Is this one category we aren't too happy about, or what?
Mixed.
I think most of it I'm happy with. I will say I think Safonova is overscored in PCS, but she was very technically, savvy in the free skate, so I can't begrudge how she performed. I wasn't a fan of the performance itself or lack of in terms of expression or relating to the music.
I prefer her style, though, I will say, to Petrosian's. I think she wasn't giving me much. It was very neutral, but it was like pleasantly neutral, with decent skating skills and nothing that like stuck out to me. And now that I've started noticing the high kick everywhere and a high kick on the landing,
the Danny G choreo.
I know, and it's like, oh right, this.
I've not missed it.
I have not missed this. And I've not missed it being rewarded and overscored by the judges either. So that I felt like, ironically, I ended up feeling less bothered by Safonova's skating than I was by Petrosian's at this event. But I was just relieved in some ways that for Georgia and Belgium, I mean, seeing Anastasia Gubanova from Georgia and Luna Hendricks from Belgium are two skaters that, they're both former European champions. Like the idea that they would not get a spot at the Olympics, or be able to, compete for that spot at the Olympics, like that seemed really wrong. And so in this sense of like spots that are like making everything seem like, right, this is logical. Things are going as I would expect. These are people who should have Olympic spots. Like it was very satisfying from that perspective. It's another discipline though that like I have a lot of favorites who I knew were long shots, and I'm still going to be sad for them, even though I don't disagree about their placements.
Yeah, I mean, just the relief I felt for Luna. I can't imagine the stress that she has been through in the past year and a half, because she got injured before 2024 Worlds, and I was already panicking when she went there and she didn't have her Lutz toe. And I was like, this is a really bad sign. She doesn't have her Lutz toe, because she was trying to do the flip, and it just doesn't seem to work like consistently with the flip toe when she tries to do that. Because I think she did it in the short program here and it went a little bit awry because she did the Lutz solo. But to see her start that free skate with the Lutz toe, I've never been so relieved to see a Lutz toe in my life. Yes. I'm like, she's back, she's really here. And just like to have the surgery before Worlds, no, you're not in that equation anymore. That your teammate has to go to Worlds and finish in the top 10 to ensure that you even have the possibility of getting a spot at the Olympics. It's just, it must have been the most stressful like year of her life. I can't even imagine.
How are we feeling about her short program music? Because I saw some comments on Twitter.
I think I saw people commenting on both the short and the free, and it just doesn't really bother me with Luna. I feel like she can deliver me anything, and I'm not gonna dislike it that much. I like these programs better than the ones she debuted last season at Shanghai Trophy, which I did not think were good. But I wasn't bothered by either of these. I thought she sold them well.
I thought the short was interesting until the techno beat or like whatever. Then I'm like,
I always like Luna taking me to the club, so I don't really care.
Yeah,
she's the only one who can really do that, like convincingly.
I liked bits of the free skate quite a bit. I mean, I always think yes, Melissa, exactly. It feels very Luna, and I'm fine with that. Like, it's pleasant, it's enjoyable to watch. I like her. There are bits of it that are interesting. Do I think it's amazing choreography or programs that are going to stick with me? No. But the one thing, though, that I do want to really praise her for is the finish of the free skate, where she goes from a knee slide straight into a spin. The amount of control and confidence that she has to do that and make it look like smooth and intentional and go right into that fast spin, I was so impressed.
So good.
And that's one of those things that sometimes, like, I feel like, and I'm usually one of the people saying this, like, put your blades on the ice, stop with all of the, you know, acrobatic things. Like, they're fun, but they're not really skating. Like, the amount of skating skills and body control that it takes to be able to do that, I am very impressed.
I feel like I really like a good slide, and then everybody was doing slides, and then I was like, now it's boring, and there were a lot of bad slides, but she really does a very good slide, and it's fun, and it's impressive how she does that. The video slows again.
I also don't mind her kicking her leg over her head somehow. I think because she doesn't look like a I think Luna's flexibility continues to be remarkable to me, and because it seems like it's flexibility that's paired with strength in a way that when she is able to do these high kicks and some of the moves that she does in her spins and in her choreo, it lands with me in a way that's much more impressive than when I see it done in the sort of Danny G choreography way, where it feels like it's a million gratuitous bits of I can stick my leg over my head, and it never lands in the same way. And that's probably just me being biased toward Luna to say that, but that's how I feel, because I was complaining about other people and then realizing I don't care when she does it. I think it looks cool, so I'll be biased.
I think that's fair. I'm not sure if Lois is not moving or if we lost her again. I think our chat has been going crazy about Josephine, so we might as well talk about her now.
Yeah.
I'm going to read some comments. My heart broke for Josephine in the Kiss and Cry. And then Eli agreed. I was really cheering Josephine on. She brings so much to this sport. And then Mark nearly being in tears also broke me. What happened to everybody who didn't watch? Do you know?
Yes. Do we have to wait for Lois? She was in fairly decent position after the short program, not quite where she wanted to be, but like still like fifth, like she was in contention. And she popped her first jump in the free skate and had a couple other jump mistakes. But I think it was seeing that first pop into a single, and it was just so like all of the credit to Josephine and to her strength and her commitment to her performance and just everything that she does. It felt like in this program, like almost the story of her career in microcosm, that like despite all of these setbacks, she is still able to bring the joy and performance that she does to the ice. Because she never gave up on the emotional piece and the storytelling and the quality of her skating, even when the jumps were struggles. So it still became a beautiful performance, but it was painful to see it and know that it wasn't going to be enough for the spot. And so it's I think we were all rooting for her. She's such a beloved person in the sport right now, and yeah, it was really tough to see. But I think, like as always, her presence in the competition just elevates the whole event and shows us what skating can be.
Yeah, Lois is going to join us again in a second. She's trying to get her laptop or internet up and running again, and she wants me to say she's also depressed about that. That was her comment about it. Yeah, it's sad when everybody loves so much doesn't make it.
And you could see the look on her face. I saw somebody had captured this in sort of, 4 images between the final pose of her expression and then her face the second after the music ended, when she knew. But it also showed that up through that final bit of the performance, she kept committing to her free skate. And yeah, I really respect that for her. And I think she said that this may be her last season, but I hope that she continues to keep going through this season, even without the Olympics as the goal. She had said that she's been to the Olympics before and it's not the be all end all for her. So I would love to see her be able to, have great Europeans or make it to Worlds this year. And I think that that's totally possible for her. And if it's not, it's one of those, like, if she can't get the tech minimums for Worlds, the tech minimums are wrong.
That's a good point. What else can we talk about while Lois is trying to come back to us?
Gubanova looked really strong here. As we were saying in the intro, she had always sort of peaks for Europeans, and so it's funny to see her this strong this early in the season. But she looked really well trained and really ready here, and it was great to see her, again, be this strong. Do I like her programs and the style of them? No. But I can respect that she is fully committed to the storytelling and what she's doing with them. And she, sometimes she has seemed a little like checked out of her own programs, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just, partly the pressure, or partly, just different styles. But she really seemed fully engaged in the performance aspect of this. And so I can also really respect that effort, as well as the effort that it took for her to be this ready technically this early in the season.
Yeah, agreed.
So I was just wondering, this was based on the score that Petrosian received, how does she compete with the other skaters? Because
it's hard to tell, because it does feel like the scores were a bit inflated here, but also she's not getting the Russian inflation that existed prior to them being banned.
Yeah.
She's kind of just getting normal skater inflation. It's weird to kind of gauge where her score is going, especially because usually, obviously she's been injured recently, usually she would be showing up with a triple axel and a quad. And she has neither of those right now. Maybe she won't even have them for the Olympics. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen by the time February comes around. In which case, obviously, her scores will go up, or who knows, if she doesn't land them, then they might go down. But top skaters are kind of getting maybe 220s, not like 209. Maybe 230s, I'm not sure. But that's kind of, she's not near the benchmark of like a world champion at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. It was interesting to see. I just was looking at the judges' tallies for her free skate, and all but one judge had her in first. It was an interesting, there's some interesting things on this panel, which we could get to another time, but it was, I was glad. Sorry, I just the giggle took me out there for a second. But yeah, there's a Azerbaijan judge giving Luna 145 was a choice, but I respect that choice.
I respect it. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Also, shout out here to Roy. If we're ready to move on from, unless you have more to say about Adelia.
Neve. Kaori's personal best is 236 for comparison. So yeah, 230s is like the highest you'll expect to see anyone go. Obviously, this is about 209. So, and I also think if you're comparing like skating skills, ice coverage, I think Luna and Anastasia are both better than Adelia at this point.
Yeah. I'm going to keep living in denial about the fact that she could beat anybody until we get to the Olympics, because, and like, to be clear, this is nothing against her as a person. I just, I didn't watch women's competitions for a while when the Atari girls were winning everything. It stopped being fun to watch. Their style didn't appeal to me. I didn't feel like it was being scored fairly. and it made the sport not so fun. So I'm gonna just sort of put a pin in her, and I don't think she's unbeatable. But
the most egregious thing I remember from when that era of Etrury girls was competing was that when the three A's, so Anna, Aliona, and Alexandra, all went up to senior at the same time, and Shabakova had her, I think it was Skate America. The judging panel, I'm not even going to say they were harsh. They called what they saw. They called the issues with her jumps. Immediately, all over the Russian media, it was, the scoring is terrible, we're being judged harshly or whatever. As soon as they came out for the next competition, nothing was called. There was very clear manipulation going on with the judges and the tech panel, and it drove me up the wall. So it was nice not to have that. Not to say that there isn't issues with other federations. There are. You do see big federations get higher scores than small federations. But that was the most blatant corruption you could possibly see between 1 week to the next of suddenly scores changing.
Yeah.
So next we will see them compete against each other. Will be at the Olympics, so we won't have any comparisons except for any home competitions they're doing. Yeah, which will be interesting to see. They will for sure inflate the score at the home competitions.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to the men, but obviously Petro wasn't clean here. In Russia, he's getting 300s and over 300s, and he got 262 here, but obviously he wasn't clean. This was not a skate that was going to rival Ilya, which is what that score would suggest domestically, but it's not.
Yeah, the comments in the chat, yes, Trusova was, I believe, used as an example of what skating skills
about 4 PCS in skating skills, and she was getting 8s and 9s.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to congratulate Ruiyang Zhang here, who secured the spot for China. We were talking about, we haven't seen much of her skating on the senior level before, and she was another skater who, not 100% clean here, but really rose to the occasion, I would say. And it was nice to see her have that moment kind of with this home crowd. And then I especially want to note 2 skaters that didn't make it, but that I feel like I'm going to pay more attention to after seeing them at this competition. So the skater who's our first alternate, Stefania Yakovleva, sorry if I've mispronounced your name. She had a great free skate here. And actually, I think came in, I want to say 5th on the free skate. Yes, she came in 5th on the free skate.
On both, in fact. She was 5th and 5th on the free and ended up 6th overall. You hate when that happens. It's the worst.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is painful. And she had a program that was to the artist and singing in the rain, and it was just really fun. Great performance energy, really an enjoyable skater, and somebody again, she's new to seniors. I hadn't necessarily paid a lot of attention to her before. Sarah just did an interview with her at Robin Cousins Cup. Yeah. So you can read that and learn a little bit more about her in her own words, but I was really impressed with her, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her, whether, we may not see her at the Olympics, but I'm looking forward to following her career.
Yeah, she feels like one of those skaters who never did particularly well in junior, but as soon as they get to senior, they start to thrive. So yeah, she's definitely one to watch.
The other skater that I feel like, again, had passed me by up until this point was the Estonian, who was attempting to get the 2nd spot here for Estonia and ended up in 8th. That's Kristina Lisovskaya. And she I thought had a really interesting, dark program with some unusual choreography and really committed to that. And so again, like someone I'm like, this isn't somebody who I think has, maybe the program may or may not have been her idea, but I thought her movement quality was really interesting and somebody that like I'm excited to see more of and how she develops as a skater too. So I always enjoy when I feel like I'm like, oh, new people who are doing interesting things on the ice. And so that was, some of the things that I enjoyed the most from this competition were this people that I wasn't yet emotionally invested in to care enough about their Olympic spots, and who I just got, we got to use this as an opportunity to see them on a big stage.
Yeah, ironically, like with Christina, like she's kind of like the veteran of the Estonian like team right now. She's obviously like 25 and married, because I remember when she used to have a different name. But yeah, so
that could be why I don't recognize her.
Yeah, she used to be Christina Gromova. She had a double-barreled name, and I do not remember what the other name was. Skeleta Gromova. Skeleta Gromova is what she used to be. And then a couple of seasons ago, she got married. But yeah, I've seen her a few times before, and she's always been a very interesting skater, just not incredibly consistent. But she's always got like a good point of view in her programs.
All right. Well, sorry, Christina, for me having missed your whole career up until this point, but belatedly, I really enjoyed your program.
Do you want to talk about anybody else on the women's?
I was very proud of Petra Lahti here, because she's been competing a lot recently. I can't remember if she did Cranberry. She might have done Cranberry. Yeah, she did Cranberry, and then she did 2 junior Grand Prix like back to back, and then she's come straight here. It's kind of crazy how much she's been competing. And this is, I think, the best skate she's had over all of those competitions. I think it really like helped her like warm up into her programs. She was never really going to be in contention, just based on her technical level, but she's done herself proud here. It's like she was not incredibly far off. Coming 10th in this field of 25 is nothing to scoff at.
And I always like seeing like little other countries than just the major countries, like New Zealand, Mexico.
Yeah, because she used to skate for Finland, and then she switched to New Zealand probably like a year and a half ago. I think it's her sister who is currently in a junior ice dance team. At least she has the same name, so I assume they're related. But yeah, so it's interesting to see. Yeah, skaters skating for small federations, trying to get more opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Was Petra the skater that I saw someone was posting recently that she had managed to get a level 4 layback spin without doing a Bielman or haircutter variation, and how nice that was and unusual that was. I saw that about somebody, and I believe it was her, but I couldn't find it again when I went back to go look. So I'll have to watch her program in the future. But I thought that was an interesting thing, because that's it's a hard thing to do, to get a level 4 layback without doing one of the sort of extreme flexibility variations. So I was curious about that. And yes.
And Melissa says Yulia's dress appreciation comment. I love Yulia Lovrenchik's style so much. I think she's always very committed to the programs, and she has like a vision of what she wants them to look like. And I know Mark like mentioned something about maybe she'll get nominated for an ISU award. I just don't think that's going to happen for a small fed skater. But I would love to see her recognized in that way, because I think she puts a lot of thought and a lot of effort into.
I mean, maybe she's getting a fantasy. No, what is it called? AnythingGOEs award for the.
Hopefully, she gets nominated for that.
Keep her in mind for that. Yes.
Yes.
And then also, I just think Mia Risa Gomez also sort of deserves a mention here of somebody who gave it a really, really good go at trying to get this spot. I would love to see her, get that spot for Norway, but she had a great short program. But I think she's got such great potential, and hopefully we will just keep seeing more good things from her. I really want her to get that consistency and be able to have the kinds of programs like she had at Worlds last year. So,
yeah. Agreed.
Okay. I think we need to move on to the next category because
yes,
it's getting late.
This is going to be a fun one.
Are you getting ready?
You're gearing up for me to not be happy.
Yes.
Ice dance.
This is the ice dance quotas. Lithuania, happy. Australia, happy. Spain, second quota, happy. China, not happy. First alternate, Sweden. The second alternate, Hungary. I put 2 alternates listed here because obviously alternate might happen regarding whether Finnish ice dance can take their second spot or not, whether Yuka Orihara can get her citizenship. The problem then also is that Mila Rud-Reiten of the Swedish team also doesn't have her citizenship yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what the status is of the Hungarian team either, but I feel like Hungary are a little bit kinder with citizenship. So who knows? Who knows what's happening here? Yes, I will agree with you, Miriam. Justice for Mila and Nikolai. I am incredibly angry with this result.
I don't think I've ever watched an ice dance competition and been this like invested in whether like where some placements were going to be, or felt as uncertain about where placements were going to be other than the top 2. And that was exciting, but then also completely infuriating with how they ended up working out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, to those who do not know about China, and I'm going to try to say this in a nice way, the information has been released through hacking, so it's not official. It probably won't be out official, but the information that was released is so disturbing that we cannot support the team. I think that summarizes it.
Yeah, basically. And for a time, it seemed like China weren't going to support the team, and then suddenly they're back.
They were out of competition for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then
so I guess nothing matters
back.
as long as you can get an Olympic spot for China. So
yeah.
And then they talked about it in the media zone, and we're like, we were out for 2 years, and it's like,
I was like, why? Why were you? Why? Other than injury, because that was also a part of it, but yeah. It just, the fact that both the Swedish team and the Japanese team, who were ahead of them, both got calls on the choreo character step. I imagine it was very correct for the Japanese team. If that also happened to them at the last competition as well, fair. No one can seem to figure out an exact specific reason why the Swedish team have got that call. So in my opinion, it is bogus, and that was done specifically in order to get the Chinese team the spot.
Yep. I would encourage people to take a look at the judging for this event.
It's
because
wild.
There's some very interesting ordinals, and there's some very interesting there's some great national bias happening, and also some just wild
people propping up some federations, knocking down other federations. There's a lot of politics going on. It's crazy.
Spain put their own team second. Just gonna say that. There's a lots of things here. Japan really propped up the Swedes, and tried to knock down the Chinese team here, but not as much as Italy tried to prop up their team and knock down both the Chinese and Japanese team. So there's just some, again, ice dance judging.
Crazy
it's a lot. I do think though that given that piece, that kind of stuff of it's questionable, but theoretically, if everyone's just kind of propping up their own countries, it kind of washes out a little bit. If it's too out of the norm, then it goes, those would be the marks that wouldn't be used. But as I do think that it's worth looking into, not that anybody will or that we have the ability to, the question about the step.
Yeah, the choreo step.
Yeah. Just because that's a question of a tech panel, and the
I hope they at least got an answer, like, from them of what they supposedly did wrong.
Yeah, exactly. They really do. We do need the tech panels to be accountable. And
I don't think there's any reason why you can't have that written on the protocol of like why something has been marked the way it has. Just a little blurb at the bottom.
It made me wonder, did anyone else catch that during one of the Junior Grand Prix, Mark and Ted were talking about how they could hear the tech panel talking?
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot. Apparently that's like a new thing they've been doing this year, where they can listen in on the tech panel and listen to what they're saying. So I guess it's more transparent. At this point, they didn't have the same thing here. They just had like the live scoring that they were watching change.
Interesting.
Like you can do it on like Sportity sometimes when they have that live scoring. You can see elements changing as the judges look at them and the tech panel reviews them. You can see how things are being altered in live time. So I think that's the same thing that they're looking at here.
Yeah.
I have questions. I'm just going through the comments real quick. Asaf got citizenship this past week from Spain. And then, Tim got citizenship also in Spain. And Mila, has she got... No, right?
Not currently, no. I think it's quicker because she is Scandinavian. She's, I think, originally from Norway. It's quicker when you're going from one country to another one in Scandinavia, but it's not gone through at this point. And I'm worried for them by the fact that they are the alternate and not automatically going through, that they won't get help with that. So by the time that Finland might give it up, it might be too late for her to get it. That's what I'm worried about. I don't know how true that would be, but that's what I'm worried about.
Okay, sorry, Anna.
Yeah.
Please.
No. Thank you for pointing that out. No, I mean, I haven't had time yet to like really dig into any of these scores and thinking about who the judges are and like where there might be patterns. Like this would be a great case though, if for trying to analyze that, because the consequences are so significant here. When I think about the Chinese team and the fact that China now has all 4 spots qualified.
Yep. And they only had 1 going into this competition.
And I think, I think women in pairs totally deserved. But it did just make me think, like, I'm putting 2 dots together that may not be put together. So please don't assume, I'm not trying to say anybody's corrupt, but it just struck me that we're also
which is a funny funny
Sorry,
saying.
I just like
thing to say.
Disclaimers.
Nobody is corrupt.
Take away my accreditation for saying this. No, just the fact that I was thinking about the fact that this competition was in China, that that is Chinese Nebelhorn instead of Nebelhorn as they've done in the past, and that which totally fine, they're making it be a separate competition, but the fact that they chose to give that to China. And then the fact that while they were here, just announced that they have a new sponsorship with a Chinese apparel company that is going to make the jackets for the ISU judges and officials and people. It just was making me think about all totally reasonable, great business decision, grow the sport in China. And I'm holding up that fact, and then I'm holding up suspicious judging for the Chinese ice dance team. And we can see whether there are, are there connections between those 2 facts, or is that a coincidence?
Melissa is saying we should rotate the continent where XYZ Nebelhorn is held, so everyone can home cook every once in a while.
I also just think it's very funny that this team haven't been back in Montreal since everything went down. I think they'd gone before that, before all the hacking had happened, and now suddenly the coaches are back with them again. I think there's still been some association with them, because I think I remember Caitlin Hawaii went to China a while ago and took a photo with them, but I think she was primarily working with like younger teams, but obviously saw them. So there must be some association that has been happening, but it's funny how they haven't been there and suddenly the coaches are back with them here instead of whoever was coaching them in China.
The politics of ice dance sometimes is very gross.
Yes.
If
that means Marie France, if that question is Marie France politics a thing too? Yes, always.
Yes, absolutely. I think somebody said 14 teams from IM or something.
I saw somebody say that.
The Olympics. Yeah. 14 out of how many? I don't know, but
still. 23.
So yeah,
a lot. Might be less. I can't remember.
I do want to talk about the actual skating at some point here too, but I have one more politics comment was that I thought it was sort of deliciously slightly shady that we saw Sarah Hurtado, who is coaching the Spanish team here, saying how excited she was that finally Spain has 2 ice dance spots, which is like, you know, a great team effort of across all of the teams that they managed to do that. But she was like, and it's great that we have a team that's training in Spain to be representing Spain, which again, yes, that is great. Also slightly shady, Sarah. And while I'm on the topic of her, I want to shout out, she had one of the best outfits for, you know, our coach Kiss and Cry outfits. I was a big fan of her jacket.
Yes. I always love what she wears in the Kiss and Cry. She needs to get nominated for that award this year.
You need to keep score now, like remember it.
Yeah. I remember also I was thinking about, because we obviously talked about the Yuna and Sumatada video of them backstage. The video backstage of Asaf and Sophia realizing they'd got the spot was adorable. Like he comes over and grabs and goes, look, the scores are coming in, look. And then she's just like jumping into his arms, and then Sarah comes out a few minutes later and she jumps into Asaf's arms, and it's just great. It's amazing. I'm so happy.
Yes. I was a big fan. The transport, I'm sorry, Leah Cass's comment here, they should transport a piece of rock from Nebelhorn Mountain there each time, like the Olympic flame.
That's so funny.
Love the idea.
I love that.
Just make it into the like the trophy that they get. So instead of like an actual trophy, they just get a piece of rock. Oh my god.
I've decided that I'm a fan of the programs for Allison and Saul. I was questioning it at first, and then I decided that I'm gonna go with it. That they're gonna do a techno program, and they're gonna do something where he's wearing a really open cut shirt, and that's just who they're gonna be, and they're embracing it, and like I'm gonna enjoy it because they are doing, and especially in this free skate, it feels like they're being who they are and who they've decided. You know, this is who they are.
They love that style. That's what they do. They love like the 90s trance vibe. That's them. They love it.
So I
also think it's hilarious.
Embrace it. I'm go with it. I'm gonna be a fan.
Regarding Sol's costume, I think it's hilarious that when he was at Bolero Cup, like he was like full like nipple out in that shirt, and I was like, you watch that when you get to Chinese Nebelhorn, because you'll get a deduction for costume if they see you too much nakedness. And I think he wore like some sort of mesh or whatever undershirt to make sure he didn't expose himself this time. I'm like, dude, you can do that every other competition, but this was the important one where you couldn't do it.
Yeah. He needs the little modesty string that Dennis had in his open front costumes from the year before last. That was like, just so that, you know, you don't expose a nipple. You just have a little tie across the bottom of it.
I think they're going to change the words now with the airbrushed abs. They're like, okay, no, nipple is way better than this.
Oh no.
Show us your real abs, not your fake abs.
Not the sprayed on abs. Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, just so happy for Allison and Solius here. and so happy and also sad and also happy, like by turns, for Kathy Reed, who I was just thinking about the whole time I was watching this, about how she must be going through like the most emotional whiplash of having her team narrowly miss out on qualifying the team that she's coaching, but then seeing her sister win and get the spot. So it was just like all of the emotions. So I was sort of, like I said, living, I feel like I was like living those emotions vicariously through her and this competition.
Sure.
And yeah, just made me think about how intertwined everybody's lives are across the different countries that are competing here.
Yeah. I agree.
In terms of programs, I was blindsided by the I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt program. There's another one of those.
No, it's just the Alice in the Soul one.
Yeah.
I also think that is the most genius song choice for this year, considering it has I'm Too Sexy for Milan.
Yeah.
And we obviously have the Olympics in Milano. I think it's the most hilarious choice you could possibly have for this season. And not everyone can pull it off. Because like I remember they did like Do You Think I'm Sexy last year. They just really want everyone to know they're sexy. But like I really don't like Rod Stewart, so I hated the Do You Think I'm Sexy program. This one I'm all right with. Melissa with a very funny comment here. As long as he doesn't put Lithuanian Minister of Sex in his Insta bio, we'll be fine. The person who had that in his bio no longer has it, but we will remember it fondly.
Who was it? Call them out.
It was it was Daniel Szymko from the Hungarian team.
Oh my goodness. Okay. This conversation totally drove out of my mind.
I'm Too Sexy too in resonance.
Yes, they do. They also have Groove Is in the Heart, which Groove Is in the Heart has been like the best song in juniors for when they do the patterns. Obviously, seniors don't have the patterns, but every time I watch somebody, there's a team that does Groove Is in the Heart to one of the patterns in juniors, and I'm like, this is the most perfect timing of a 90s song you could possibly pick. So I'm excited to see how those two blend together and how it works. But yeah.
So any more comments on the comments?
I know people were kind of down on the Italian choice of Polino Tuba. Obviously they won the skate off in a slightly more visual way than what we ended up with the Champs Camp US pairs thing, because we did actually get like scoring from that competition. And they did win it fair and square. So, you know, that's the choice that was made. I think once that choice was made, we all thought it was a long shot for Italy to gain the second dance spot. But seeing the scores and results, I don't think it would have been a different result had either of the other Italian teams been there either. So good for them getting the experience. They had a good result. They are only 8th, so
yeah,
I think it's been good for them.
I think that in some ways, I think the team that maybe did themselves the most good, other than who didn't get a spot, were Mila and Nikolai from Sweden, because they really showed how strong they are. And I think in making us all feel a little like they were cheated, I think they gained a little bit of like, I don't know, fan karma for the next time. Sure. I enjoyed their Romeo and Juliet. I was a little suspicious of the idea of like a backwards Romeo and Juliet, but I actually thought that it worked pretty well.
Really interesting.
With the story, like they weren't too literal about it, but there were a few parts where I was like, that's what you're doing, and like it made sense. So,
and I think it shows the improvement in such a short amount of time. It's mad to think that Nikolai was skating singles at the last Olympics, and now he's like a pretty accomplished ice dancer. Because it was around like Europeans or whatever where the question about the Olympics was coming up, and it was just kind of, we don't really think we're in the conversation for that right now. And they so were. I mean, they still are, because there potentially is another spot opening up, but they're so close here.
Yeah.
And they've had he could be a fantastic ice dancer, and that they gelled so well as a team, and they've just continued to improve and show off fantastic programs, and they have so much potential.
I was also really impressed here, just on the positives, and I'm going to jump way down the standings, but I watched dance in a funny way, where I watched like the first 4, went to sleep, woke up, watched the last, and then went back and tried to catch up with the middle.
Yeah, same.
But the team from the Netherlands, Chelsea Verhey, and Shireen van Geffen, I was really impressed with some things that they had.
So innovative.
Just some really interesting lifts, and a really interesting hydroblade, and just like great movements. Positions, and like and so like I would actually, if people did not watch the first groups, I would encourage like going back and watching their free dance. It was some witch and a vampire, like I don't know, it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and you
could really see the influence of Nazareth and Nikitin, who were their judges, in them, because they used to have the most innovative lifts and choices in what they did. There have been some reasons that I am not the biggest fan of this team, and that's more kind of off-ice stuff and choices they've made. But in terms of what they brought to the world stage here, it was very interesting and showed a lot of innovation, even if they didn't have the skating skills to kind of like back it up. So it makes you kind of nervous when they do those very risky moves. You think, oh God, this could go wrong at any moment. But it was very innovative and interesting to watch.
Yeah. And if you want to find out about what Lois is talking about, join our Discord. Lois will answer. Leaving a cliffhanger.
I mean, yeah.
We will talk about obscure Federation politics so much.
Yes.
No, every time I wake up in the middle of the night and the competition is at night, I always just get notifications like, no, yes, no.
Yeah, that's what it's like when things are going on. Yeah, it's just like screaming, going, not the pop, no.
It's fun, join. Yeah, any more ice dance before we move on to the men?
I still think that Turandot program isn't working for Utana Messiah. And I love a Turandot program.
Am I back? Okay, so... I disappeared temporarily there.
Oh, sorry. And I was saying...
that I still can't get behind the Turandot free skate for Utana Messiah, and I love them and I love Turandot, so I feel like something's really wrong with the program, that it's just, I don't know, the tempo, the timing of it, just it doesn't build the way I want it to build. And I don't mind that they do some unusual like order of elements stuff. Like I like that the twizzles could be a really good highlight that they do close to the end, but I don't know. There's something about it that I'm just not, it's not clicking for me, and it continues to be a disappointment.
I think we lost Lois again.
I'm back.
As I was saying, we lost Lois again. We need the UK to get the internet.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps cutting me out. Sometimes it's like this, and sometimes it's all right. It's apparently decided that autumn is the time it doesn't like me. Yeah, I was going to say.
No.
She was going to say, okay, now we lost her completely. But we will tune her back in once she's back, and she can comment, and maybe we can talk about the men's quota while she's gone. Yes. Oh, Lois. I don't know if she's back for real. No. So yeah, in first place we got
Peter Gamenik. I'm gonna mispronounce his name. I think I was hearing Mark call him Petra, and then I think that's not quite right, and I think Peter isn't right either, and I can't do the in between sound that anyway. He is the neutral athlete, but from Russia. earned himself a spot here. Then Korea earned a second quota. Mexico, Ukraine, and Chinese Taipei earned spots here. And then the first alternate is Monaco.
Lois, do you want to finish your thought before we talk about men?
It's fine. I was just complimenting Pinchuk Pogorelov and saying that I was very proud of how much better they did since Lombardia Trophy. I mean, obviously they weren't quite in contention here, but it's good to see them have a better week, like a 20-point increase in score.
Yes.
Okay. That's a very good final thought on ice dance. Men.
This was the most stressful competition, I think, for me. Ice dance was stressful and infuriating, but this was I had the most stressful moment of my life, just looking at what Donovan put in the free skate and thinking, this is what he needs to qualify. It was stressing me out.
But also the skater from the Ukraine, whose name I forgot.
Yes.
Kirill.
Yes. He, yes. I mean, there were so many people here that I was happy for and relieved for, and also so many people that I was also so sad for. And so it was just all of the emotions all over the place. I just, starting off with being thrilled for Carrillo, who really locked in here. He's been inconsistent at times, and these are some of the best skates that I've seen him put together in a long time. He had a solid quad. He really he just looked confident in a way that I sometimes don't always get to see from him. And I thought, wow, under the stress of this week and under the stress and just infuriating situation that happened to him, where after the short program he posted that someone who had access to the skaters' locker room stole the stuffed animals and gifts that were left on the ice for him, which seemed like a very targeted and potentially politically motivated attack, was sort of the way he was talking about it, and certainly it's very upsetting to feel like his space and his equipment were potentially not safe as well. So just with that in the background of this, I was thinking he managed to channel all of that somehow into really good skate, and it feels really right and just, given that we don't have anybody from Ukraine in any of the other categories, that he was able to qualify this spot, and there will be at least one Ukrainian athlete going to this Olympics.
Yeah, because I mean, it's sad to see that back in 2022 they had a full team event. I think they had 3 disciplines that qualified, and then one, I think the pairs team got the extra spot for the team event. So it's sad to see that only one of them will be going this time. Obviously, the Ukrainian pairs team were fairly close, but yeah, it's a shame. But I'm very happy for him.
Also,
and he was in 6th place after the short, right? So it's that's the spot you don't want to be at. Although you could be first alternate, but
that's the part that was really painful as I was watching this, because I was really rooting for so many of these men to make it into that spot. And it was also right up until the end thinking, well, men, anything can happen. Who knows what's, where these placements are going to go. So it was very dramatic right up until that point. I will say, somewhat pleasantly surprised.
I was so ecstatic.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well.
Lois was ecstatic.
I was going to say I was ecstatic for Yuhsiang Lee, because he was one of those skaters who was very much on the bubble, and his score at Asian Open was 190 something, and he got his personal best by 10 points, and improved from 206 to 216. And I'm so glad he kept it clean. He didn't go for the quads. He just went, I'm just going to do what I know I can, do it clean, perform nicely, and it was perfect. And he actually got rewarded in like PCS and didn't get buried because, you know, he put down such a great performance.
I was really pleased to see him do so well here, and it felt really well deserved, and it felt like the kind of chance that there should be for somebody to, you know, yes, as I was saying, like there's some of these results where you're like, this feels, you know, just based on the overall performance of this skater, and here it's rewarded. There are times at the same time where you do want people to be able to show that they can rise to the occasion. And, you know, if you have the skate of your life, and, you know, that should get to be rewarded sometimes. So I was pleased for him. And I do want to just comment about seeing George Averyshchenko from Czech Republic, who did not get a spot and was beaten after the short, being ahead in of my goodness, I'm ahead of the skater from Chinese Taipei. Say his name for me again.
He's young.
Yes, thank you. I was having having a brain melt of too many names. Yes. So Ryshchenko had basically went on a bit of a, what I would think of as a sore loser rant, which it's fine if he feels frustrated, but I didn't think it was necessary to drag another skater into that.
I don't know if the media's made it sound worse than it was. But to say that like you were better than that skater when you're not even first alternate.
You weren't. I mean, like, just on the matter of it, like on the day, no, you weren't. And like, even if, you know, and that's what matters.
I don't know if it's been drilled into him that because he has quads that makes him better. Yeah. It doesn't. If the rest of your program is inconsistent and you are having dodgy landings and frankly not giving as good of a performance as Yu Xiang did. So you didn't get a spot. You're not even first alternate. So I don't know what the sore loser like commentary is that like you were better than this person who qualified a spot. Like I kind of would get that almost. I don't think he would do it, but I kind of would get that from like David Luton-Brain, who was so close.
Yeah.
Like literally like fraction of a point away. But like, you know, you just got to own that because sadly, if he had got that last spin, he would have qualified. That's just it's the worst thing ever. Like the rest of it, like when you're thinking, I don't necessarily have the technical content to match everyone else. I have to be perfect, and just to lose it on that final spin has got to be heartbreaking.
I mean, or if he got the skating skills that he deserved, because in my mind, he should be getting 8s. And I think that the way that some skaters, even when their components are really wonderful, if they're not able to also do the other elements, they get held down. Really frustrates me, and I feel like this was an example of that, where I can think of a lot of skaters who get 8s in components who do not skate with anywhere near the presentation or skating skills that he shows, and so that's also stuck with me. Spin, totally his fault. Like, not that's sucks. A frustrating thing that sucks. But it was wonderful to see him skate so well. And like, I don't think we would have, thought he, like, I feel like even a year or two ago, it was like, oh, he made it to Worlds. Like, but there's no way he's gonna make it to the free skate at Worlds. And like to see him in this, even in this level of competition right now, I think is really exciting. So I'm just, like, again, this is one of those things I hope is motivating and not demoralizing to be this close. I mean,
to see over the last year or so him consistently try and get that triple axel, and the rest of his consistency has kind of taken a beating from that. For him to come out here and go, I'm just going to try and go as clean as I possibly can, rather than put in the triple axel or whatever, which he did land with positive GOE at French Masters. Like, that is an incredible thing to first do at the age of 26. Like, for him to say, I'm not going to try it, I'm just going to try and go clean.
Yeah.
It's brave. It's brave to do that because you're at a technical disadvantage.
Yeah.
Marianne is also saying first Taiwanese skater at the Olympics in 28 years, which is very impressive.
I'm so happy.
And then Miriam is talking about sad to see Francois Pitot from France has such rough skates. Still think he was the right decision over Luc, but it's a shame because he was in third place doing the short program, and then everything fell apart in the free.
It's rough. I mean, as soon as he missed that opening quad and popped it, I was like, oh, this isn't great, because that's the only quad he has, and if you set yourself off on that bad mark, it can easily spiral. It's just like, and the landings weren't great on the triple axels, and it's just like everything starts to go wrong. It's a real shame, because I do think he proved that he was the better choice. Like, Luc is also a great skater. He very rarely tries the quad, and he's also not necessarily the most consistent. So it would have been kind of a toss-up either way. I don't necessarily think one would have definitely qualified over the other, but I think Francois had the higher ceiling.
I was pleasantly surprised to see Hyung-Yum do so well here and end up actually getting second overall. I thought he for sure had a chance of getting a spot, but he's been so inconsistent in recent competitions. But I don't know, he's one of those skaters that just has that like indefinable sort of charisma to me. Like I watch him skate and I'm like, he just looks happy. Like he just looks like he's engaging, and like he's very light on his feet in a way that I just that I enjoy. So I was pleased to see him be able to pull that off here. And it does feel like, you know, we Korean men have not been the most consistent overall, but like as a group, having 2 spots feels like a very fair thing for them to be able to compete for and continue their development.
That unlike really everyone else who's gaining the spots, that there is a possibility that he may not get that second spot, because obviously when it came to the decider of who was going to come here, Seong Lee wasn't healthy enough yet to take part in that competition, but he is back since then. He didn't have a consistent time at Kinoshita, but he was second in the free skate, but did not move up from 9th or whatever. It was a very weird, close like battle in that field. So he has the potential to score higher than Hyung-Yum if in a domestic that could decide who goes. So, you know, I think it's a toss-up between them two. It's kind of a shame if Hyung-Yum earns the spot and doesn't get it, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. What did you think about Gmenek?
I really liked his short program. I think he has a lot of great qualities. I think he is a skater who I appreciated watching a lot more than I did Pritisayan. For the women, I thought his skating skills were good. I didn't. The one part of his short program I didn't like was when he tried to do the heel thing that Selevko popularized. I didn't think he could pull that off. It looked awkward when he did it. Everything else looked great. The free, I think he changed a week ago, and he clearly wasn't comfortable with it yet. So it didn't leave much of an impression on me. I think it would probably get better, obviously, as he runs it more. Maybe he will be in contention at the Olympics. I'm not sure at this point, because obviously it was a messy skate today. Skating like that, he's not in contention with like Ilya and Yuma. Or Adam, who on a good day, who has not had many of those recently, or even maybe Shaderov. But if
he's got a lot of quads, but they're not at the same. At least in my opinion, they're not the same quality. And so everything is a little messy. He's pulling them off mostly, except for the Lutzes, but
like when you say he's doing 5 quads, I just thought so did Trasova. And they weren't
with the
great
same
when they got to the
pre-rotated
Olympics.
Lutz technique which is the same. Yeah. Anyway, there's the
yeah.
But I did find, like, overall, I found him pretty pleasant to watch. And I thought I wouldn't mind, it's like, okay, if he got the kind of scores he gets here for the kind of performances that he put out here, then I have no, it's like I have no problem with, with him being added to the mix as another, another flavor of somewhat inconsistent male skater that we can have in the mix.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of the whole neutral athlete thing. And I don't particularly think the ISU are either. I think they did it because the IOC made them. So they didn't really have much of a choice but to submit to that. But if this is how it's going to be, then this is how it's going to be. And these are the two skaters who are going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's exactly like I have...
Well, 3 including Stefanova.
Yeah. I think it's a nuanced conversation that, like, certainly my opinion about is, like, has on the one hand, on the other hand, on the third hand, on the fourth hand about it. But just, like, purely as a skating fan, I have enjoyed the sport a lot more and felt like the judging reflected more of what I see on the ice as a whole, and felt like the things were more unpredictable and therefore more exciting across most of the disciplines since the Russians were banned. So, leaving all of the politics of that part of it out, I got some anxiety just from thinking about, are they going to come back? And that's going to mean that, suddenly things feel uncompetitive again, not because they're so much better, but because that's the way they're going to get rewarded. I feel somewhat relieved from that anxiety. Not entirely, but somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a relief in a way that pairs and dance did not pass the test as well. I think it would have been sad to see one of these pairs not make it in favor of the Russians, especially when the teams they selected to try and pass the screening were never going to pass the screening. Even if they thought they were their best bets in terms of results.
Laura is saying that
they actually did have a choice. There were several Winter Sports Federation not allowing. Yeah, like biathlon luge, bobsled and skeleton. Yeah, it came across to me like they felt like they had to go with what the IOC wanted them to do. It didn't feel like, based on the rules they set out, that they particularly wanted them back.
Yeah, I mean, the ISU and the IOC are very close. The ISU president's role in the IOC, like, they're very in tight at the moment, at least in terms of that leadership. But
because of what a big sport figure skating is in Russia, I feel like it comes across even more so in this sport, in that if they're not there, it's visible that they're not there.
Yes. That said, when we see the Russians talking about how much their skaters are going to win and show how great Russians are, it's like, well,
this goes against the point of the neutrality.
I mean, we've had, but I honestly think that neutral athletes for the Olympics makes way less sense to me than having neutral athletes at any other competition, like, on the face of it, just because, even though I'm glad that it's not everywhere, because I feel like the whole point of the Olympics sorry, I'll try to make this a short soapbox rant, but I was really thinking about this morning and trying to explain to my mom how a lot of skaters have switched countries and all of the citizenship drama and all of the, dynamics around that. Just thinking about, like, if the Olympics wasn't central to this sport, we wouldn't have all of that drama. The fact that you have to be representing a country and you have to be a citizen of that country, and that it's so, we've based so much of this around this sort of nationalistic thing, and it's not so then it becomes much less about, you as an individual athlete, you're representing your country. given all of that context of the Olympics and how central it is to it, the idea that then they're qualifying individual spots for themselves as individual neutral athletes feels, I don't know, it feels out of keeping with the whole thing. It feels like it's, it's the wrong solution, or trying to pretend that the Olympics is something that it isn't, in a whole bunch of ways. And so I kind of, but again, they've been doing this all the way back to 2018, that there have been sanctions that aren't really sanctions against the Russians that are trying to strip away their national pride, and it's not working. So it seems like the whole approach is quite questionable.
And there's also a comment about the only skaters who didn't look happy about winning a quota were the neutral skaters. And I feel like that shows even more that it's not for them, because why wouldn't you be excited if you win? I want to talk about Donovan because
we made an interesting comment here. Like, I was wondering how biathlon managed to avoid that, and there was an article that pointed out that having neutral athletes with weapons might not be the best look. And I can see how the optics of that isn't great.
Sharp knives won't count under your boot.
Not to mention,
just like you're all standing there like with guns, like shooting targets, and it's just like, why are you good at that?
Biathlon's another sport with huge doping scandals also. So it makes me wonder, where there are those things about bans that are, theoretically bans for one reason, but also maybe you're grateful for another reason, if that's also part of it. Though I think that the doping in biathlon isn't, solely contained to Russians, but it's another place where those issues seem like they are coinciding from the little I know about it.
Can we talk about Donovan now?
Yes. Let's talk about something happy. Yay, Donovan.
Let's talk about something happy, because I remember last stream we talked about him so much and how we were hoping he was going to win, and he did really, really well in the short, and then, well, the free was a bit good, but
What a relief.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, what a relief for him to get the spot. I think I said this last stream, but he's improved in so many ways that for him to not get to go back to the Olympics would have felt really a shame. And he is such a just important person to the sport. He brings so much.
Yeah.
So happy for him.
I just want to talk about a happy moment.
Sadly, I'm like, I have less to say about the happy moments.
I was like so nervous as well, because he was so excited after the short, and I was like, okay, please rein it in. You still have a free skate to do. Please rein it in. You'll be happy for a moment, but you have another job to do. And then I was like, Donovan, don't screw this up.
Oh my God. Well, speaking of random happy things, I also want to say that I really enjoyed the family photo shoot of Carrillo and Walter and Alina Virtanen and their kid on the Great Wall of China. I'm glad that they went and did something for fun. And I was thinking about how Alina probably had another person with like, oh my goodness, all of the emotions. Your student is getting a spot and your husband isn't. Like, that is, all of these sort of interlocking stories at this event. But again, I thought that it was very cute, especially because Carrillo was wearing a very funny hat and looked like he was like the, I don't know, like grumpy teenage uncle that got brought along on the trip. The whole thing was amusing me yesterday.
I saw somebody bring back a photo of a kiss and cry from, I think it was like 3 years ago, of like her and Walter, and then like Carrillo was sat there on the side, like holding their little baby at the time.
Yeah,
because obviously she's older now, but it's so funny. It's just like they become this little like family unit.
Yeah.
So there were quite a few other skaters I know was skating. To also said loved Jari Kessler, artistically one of the best. Is there anybody else who stuck out?
Totally.
I feel this is not a happy thing, but I feel very bad for Edward Appleby. Obviously, we heard that he had an injury in the off season. I had a feeling something was up when he wasn't at Robin Cousins Cup. I was like, it's in Sheffield. Why wouldn't you be there? Like pre competition. And to hear, obviously, I mean, he clearly wasn't up to speed. He clearly wasn't ready to be competing yet, but he did his best effort. I hope that his recovery goes smoothly, and obviously he's there for the team event. So I hope he can enjoy that experience, even if he couldn't qualify a quota himself.
I enjoyed Gabriel Martinez's programs from Ecuador. He was, down in 25th, but I hadn't seen him before, and I enjoyed him. I also enjoyed the skater from Kazakhstan here, Dias Jerenbayev. I have liked him for a while, but I was excited to see he seems to be sort of pulled himself together a little bit here. It wasn't a great, not super great free skate, but somebody else that I would love to see as Kazakhstan starts getting more spots and with Mikhail's strength. Obviously they're not going to have it for the Olympics, but I am excited to sort of see the other athletes coming up behind starting to get stronger as well.
Yeah, because they have 3 spots for Worlds, don't they?
Yeah.
He was top 2, so yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's a shame I don't know what's happened with Rakat Bralin, because he had a lot of potential and he's just been missing for probably over a year now. I don't know if he's quit or there's been no official announcement, but I just haven't seen him in a long time. And he had a lot of potential, so it's a shame if he's not around anymore.
I'm always going to remember him as the skater at Four Continents who was wearing leggings with shorts over them as his as his practice costume. There was something about it that was like delightfully chaotic to me.
Yeah.
Melissa saying getting to see a few skaters you'd never see at Worlds, Euros, Four Continents Grand Prix was a genuine upside to this event.
Yeah.
And to get them to see them, like, even if they do get to go to Euros or Worlds or whatever occasionally, to get them to see them do both programs, because usually they'd be out after the rhythm dance or the short program. So it's good to see like the whole range of what they can do.
It must be amazing for them to skate at this level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I quite enjoyed this event. Like, I think it being just the qualifying was kind of it made it interesting to watch and gave it a certain, different set of drama and a different set of characters. So, like, from that perspective, I really enjoyed it. I probably would have I was actually just going to say, I would have enjoyed it more if it hadn't been at like from 10 o'clock at night until like 8 o'clock in the morning, North American East Coast time. But I think some parts of it were probably improved by the like randomly waking up in the middle of the night watching 3 skaters and going back to sleep. Somehow gave a particularly unique flavor to this competition.
Yeah. Not so fun for the competition to be starting at like 3 a.m. my time and then just like finishing at like 5, 6 a.m. I'm just like, why?
Especially for people who go to bed at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah, because I sleep late anyway, so therefore then when do I sleep?
Sarah also made a poll in YouTube chat, I don't know, which was your favorite discipline from Chinese Nebelhorn. And women won with 36%, men 29%, pairs 29%, and Iceland's got 6%.
It's not surprising that Iceland's got the lowest amount. It's not surprising.
Yeah, I thought that was very funny how that reflects in you guys' opinions.
What are we going to do? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I was just Ed did well considering in the short, but I always feared for him in the free when Mark said he had a chunk of time off the ice. Fingers crossed he can regroup for Euros, then fingers crossed for the team event spot.
Yeah, I mean, Euros, it's so sad how things are going this year with Edward having been injured now. Kristen Spores is obviously taking a lot of time off because she's had an injury and is prioritizing her mental health. Nina hopefully she'll be right. I think she had an injury at one point, but it wasn't like a serious one. And her withdrawal from Robin Cousins Cup's free skate was because she had a migraine. So hope nothing issue continuing. It's just a shame when, like, obviously women have 2 spots for Great Britain at Euros, and at this point we don't have another woman who can take a spot. Hopefully another one is able to get the minimums before then, because it's a shame not to take full advantage of that opportunity to be in front of a home crowd.
Anna, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I was gonna ask what folks would like to see us cover before the Grand Prix, if we do any more live streams between now and then.
Yes, please answer this while I'm going to talk about all of the social media you can follow: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Bluesky. What else do we have? So much. Also, like and subscribe, and we also have a, what is it called on YouTube?
What, the super thanks and the super chat?
Yes.
Super chat. We have new things.
Yeah.
The Patreon, of course, you can follow us. You can support us for £1 or whatever your currency is per month, and this goes up to £10, and of course you get more stuff. And we have a lot of content planned this season. I don't know how we are going to survive it, but there are plans.
We're not.
And we are very excited.
Question from the chat, which is, when will the teams and additional quotas be known? Every time I press it, then you press it, and I press it, then you press it. The team event, like the final figures, are after the Grand Prix. So then it will be posted after that, because there's points awarded from the Grand Prix, as well as from like Worlds for Continents last year or whatever, Euros. But there is everyone kind of knows by now what the options are for the team event based on who's qualified and who hasn't. I don't have the list with me, but it's not official yet, so we'll wait until the ISU puts that out. In terms of this, like alternate spots and stuff for the I think some of them can have the option to rescind their spot now, and they could change that within the next month or so. People could be promoted from the qualifying competition. Otherwise, the final deadline is in the end of January. It's 25th, 26th, and that's when the final reallocation will be. So anybody who, say, the Uzbeks or the Finnish dance team, anything of that nature, if they have to rescind their spot, they will be reallocated then, if the final deadline. That's when that will be.
Okay, we are getting some comments.
We do usually do a Junior Grand Prix recap right at the end of the 7 series. Obviously then separately during the final with the Senior Grand Prix final as well. But yeah, we usually do a little post Junior Grand Prix one. We still have 3 weeks of that left. The Parliament and Nebelhorn, which are both happening at the same time next weekend. And probably clash with one another, so I don't know how much we're going to get watched of those. But we can think about it.
Yeah, I'm going to try to watch at least some of them. But yeah, I'll have to figure that out.
Sarah did another poll just now, which was the worst to watch live, and I stands, of course, won with 57%, men 29%, pairs 14%, and women 0%. Women was fine, everything else.
Oh my god! I mean, I think men is just up there because that was stressful. Ice dance was just because of what was going on.
Yeah.
I interrupted Anna again. I'm so sorry.
No, you didn't. You're fine. Shall we wrap up?
I think so.
Anything else we need to talk about?
I don't know. But yeah, if you have any more suggestions, also for guests you want to see on this podcast,
please.
On this live stream podcast, just put it in the comments, and then just say what you want us to talk about. Yeah, it's so the guests we have in the
past, people wanting to be on here.
Yes, the guests we've had in the past, they are okay to get. Everybody else is a gamble. We will try. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, I want to thank Adam Reisinger, who's in our producer tier. Thank you so much for the support, for making this possible, and we are very happy about the support.
Yeah, thank you everybody who's joined our Patreon and things, given support recently. It's very encouraging to us as we're continuing to do all the different work that we're doing for this season.
Yes, thank you so much. And Melissa is saying German television is showing the pairs competition and men's free and Nebelhorn. No?
If anyone wants to fire off the VPNs.
That didn't work. I will say I tried for Lombardia, and Italian TV was too smart for me. It knew I was using a VPN and didn't let it work. So I'll try Germany.
But also, why are they only showing those?
That's where
the pair's free because
Germans.
Because the pairs.
Yeah, but also like
men is interesting.
And Sarah also wants us to say to join the Patreon.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Unless
thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a lovely final few hours of the weekend. Bye.